How do you overcome overwhelm? Modern life is full of overwhelm, and overwhelm is a specific kind of anxiety. And it's good to get to know this kind of anxiety because, with that knowledge and ability to identify that the particular stress that you're feeling is due to overwhelm, there's some really tangible and quick things you can do to kind of level your stress out, reduce your overwhelm, get focused, and be productive. This may sound surprising, but one of the most important steps to begin to manage anxiety and stress related to overwhelm is simply to start noticing it. You probably do notice that you're anxious, but without stopping to focus on the source of that anxiety, you're not able to really pinpoint it as overwhelm and take the specific steps to help you manage it in that instance. So here's some tips for how to identify that the stress and anxiety you're feeling is related to overwhelm. The first thing is you have a really tough time focusing, especially because when you choose something to focus on or you start focusing on one thing, your mind starts spinning with all the other things you're not doing, and it starts to distract you from what you do want to do. And in that moment, your mind's inability to focus is creating overwhelm for you and that associated stress and anxiety that comes along with it. And related to that, you may notice an inability to make a decision about what to focus on, indecision about, oh, what should I do now? I have an hour. What should I do? I have 5 minutes. What should I do? And you kind of spend time spinning around with all the possibilities of what you can do instead of actually doing something. So the inability to focus and the inability to choose what to focus on are two definite signs that you're close to or in a state of overwhelm. And then finally, and this one's very common, is this sort of sense of feeling like it's never enough. Your to-do list is always too long. You're never going to get through it. No matter how hard you work, no matter how long you work, it's never going to be enough and you can't get on top of it. That is a definite sign of overwhelm. So the first trick of managing your overwhelm is to begin to notice that the particular stress and anxiety you're feeling is related to overwhelm. And the solution to beginning to reduce your anxiety and stress related to overwhelm is to choose one thing that you have control over to focus on, and then focus on it. Choose one thing, focus on it, and make sure you're choosing something that you actually control, because otherwise you're just choosing something to worry about what other people are going to do or what else might happen. You want to put your energy into something you can make a difference on, a task or project that you can advance to the next step, some aspect of the work that you have to do that you control. And when you do this and you actually focus on it, you will begin to see your anxiety go down. Why? Because choice is an act of power. When you look at all those things that you could be doing and you choose to move out of indecision and to choose one thing to focus on and let the rest of it go, it makes you feel like you're taking control over your life instead of being out of control. So a lot of the sense of overwhelm is a sense of a lack of control. So when you make a choice and you actually choose that thing and you choose not to worry about all the other stuff for the period of time that you're working on it, that is an act of power. It's an act of control. It's taking control in a situation where you're not feeling in control. And the stress and anxiety that relates to that lack of control begins to subside immediately. And related to this, when you choose the one thing to focus on and you let go, at least for a period of time, worrying about all those other things, when in that moment where you're letting go of the worry or anxiety, or even just thinking about those things, even if there isn't particular anxiety associated with them, you're actually buying back mental and emotional energy in that moment because you're kind of letting go of all little threads of thinking and worry that's associated with all that stuff that, at least in this moment, is out of your control. And so all the energy you've been putting into that worry and that anxiety over things you don't control, you buy back all that energy. You get it back to help you focus on the thing that you're doing. Now, there's one aspect of this that you may be saying, which is, but those things still matter. I can't really let them go. Here's the trick for that. Give yourself permission to let them go for a specific period of time and make yourself a promise that at the end of that period of time, you'll come back and think about them. Maybe not worry about them, but think about them and decide if there's one other thing you can choose to do and put your energy into that will advance towards some resolutions in those areas. But for the period of time where you're reducing your overwhelm by focusing on one thing, choose to let it go and give yourself permission to let it go long enough to get this thing done. Now, when you do this, you will feel a reduction in your anxiety almost immediately. And in fact, anytime you're sort of feeling anxiety being out of control, any choice you make, whether to take the stairs or the elevator, whether to go right or left around the block, whether you go to sushi or Italian for lunch, any decision actually puts you back in that sense of control and can help mitigate stress and anxiety related to feeling out of control. But in this particular instance, with respect to overwhelm, when you choose one thing to focus on at a time and let go of everything else, giving yourself permission to worry about it and deal with it later, you get an added benefit, which is you take these big things that are overwhelmed. You have a big project on your list that's 1,000 tasks, right? And you don't know where to start. You just choose a place to start. And then when you're finished with that, choose another place to start. And what you're starting to do is chunk down your work into small bites that you can make progress on. And little by little, when you chunk it down and make progress in small areas, you start getting closer to having the larger task done, larger project done. And secondly, you're sort of practicing that sense of being in control for short periods of time. And over time, you get a sense that you're not out of control. You're choosing to be in control in specific areas where you can be. And this also kind of makes you feel more masterful at handling things that could otherwise be overwhelming. And it does require a little bit of a brain hack to give yourself permission to not worry about that other stuff and truly feel it. You've got to really do this. But when you do, you'll be surprised how productive you can be, how much more you'll get accomplished at the end of a day or a week, because you're choosing the thing you can control and you're making an advancement, and then you're moving on to the next thing. And you're doing it in a way that gives your brain permission to relax and not be in overwhelm while you're focusing on those things. So give it a try. Let me know how it works.